Um, so I'd like to talk about the Canadian flu and the fact that Europe, the entire continent of Europe, with the exception of Poland, has caught the Canadian flu. Now, people are probably saying, what is the Canadian flu? You've heard about bird flu, you've heard about swine flu, H1N1, AIDS, which comes from monkeys. Certain species have the ability to give out a flu or an illness, a sickness that infects people and causes great suffering and damage. AIDS has affected so many people. Bird flu, mad cow disease. But the Canadian flu is not necessarily an illness of the body. It's an illness of a country. And what I'm talking about, what I'm trying to say is that Canada is a country that has historically accepted and allowed such poor leadership, such globalist, regressive, called progressive leadership, such left-wing leadership, which damages the economy, which puts other people ahead of their own country, and the people of the country give in, submit, capitulate, and allow this deterioration of a country to allow. That's what Canadians have historically come to be known for, the nice ones. And, people always say nice guys finish last. Now, Europe, look what's happening in Europe. You can look at the UK, Germany, France, Italy, Spain, Greece. All these countries are filled with globalists, some left-wing, some center-right, but all globalist politicians putting other countries first, bringing in refugees who are the same background as our enemy, which is a stupid thing to do. Their economy is failing, jobs are failing, people are miserable. There's a rising tide of anger, which is good because, when people are angry, things start to change. Europe has seen Europe is in the worst stage it has ever been since the Great Depression. And Europe used to be a mighty continent. I know you're going to have some minorities that say, oh, you're black. How can you say Europe? It's true. I'm not going to sell a lie. Europe, look at the British Empire. The British Empire, the sun used to never set on the British Empire. It was a great empire. Yes, they did some bad things. I'm not saying whatever, but they did great. Let me tell you something. Every single black person, if we forget about slavery and apartheid and all that stuff, should be thanking Britain because, the development and all that stuff. But we're not talking about that right now. And I'm not saying those empires were great and were humane, but they were great. The French Empire with Napoleon, Germany, oh my gosh, Germany, look, Italy, the Roman Empire. These used to be great empires, great countries, great nations. Now, Europe is almost a third world country now. And the thing is that they have followed the way of the Canadian. Now, I'm sure there's someone out there saying, oh, Michael, there he goes again. He's beating down the Canadian. He's beating down the Canadian. That's all you ever do, Michael. You just beating down the Canadian. You hate your country. You hate yourself. You beating down the Canadian. That's what you're going to say. I know there's someone saying that. You beating down the Canadian, man, Michael. You beating down. Let me tell you something. I'm dual citizen. I was born in Canada. I lived in America long enough to be able to obtain citizenship through the consequence of my parents. My parents moved when I was younger. I left with them, and I became American citizen, and I came back. I decided to come back to Canada. I could easily be living in Trump country right now. You think could be living here with this long-haired Mac Daddy causing all this problems? I don't need this. I mean, the price of living is so high. The hydro is high. The rent is expensive. I could easily go back. I love this country, and that's the thing. You got you got some Aunt Jemima Canadian at the very earliest opportunity he can will run to the American border like a geese in the middle of fall trying to escape winter to fly south. I ain't going anywhere because I do love this country, but this country has a problem. And we have something called the Canadian flu. Allowing our leaders to destroy our economy, allowing our leaders to use our resources to make other countries and other people better at the expense of us, cutting on our own people, austerity on our own people. We cut the benefits, the tax benefits for diabetics. We cut the tax benefits for mentally ill. We have natives living with poisonous water on reserves all over this country. The government hasn't spent a penny to fix the problem. And on top of that, we're now allowing refugees from countries and refugees who are the same background as our enemy, which is ISIS, which I'm not saying I'm racist against people of that certain background, but you should never allow refugees into your country who are the same background as your enemy. Like, if this was World War II, I wouldn't allow any German or Japanese or Italian into the country as a refugee. And if I was a British Prime Minister during the Troubles, no Irishman would be setting foot in Great Britain. That's just how you protect the country. But now the thing is that Europe is going the way of the Canadian. Europe is going away, and look what it's costing them. Look what's happening. They caught the Canadian flu. They've caught it big time. France has caught it. Germany's caught it. The thing that with Canadians that really pisses me off is that every Canadian has one religion. One religion. It's not Christianity. It's not Judaism. It's not Islam. It's not Catholicism. It's not. The one religion that Canadians have is that the Americans are holding them down. Every Canadian you meet will say, "Oh, the Americans are holding us down. They're bringing us down." The other religion is that they hate Trump. The two religions. One is that, "Oh, the Americans are holding us down." And then two is that Trump is evil. The Americans this and the Americans that. Was it the Americans who told you to go vote for the long-haired Mac Daddy Justin Trudeau, allowing him and giving him that opportunity to give all of our resources and all of our tax dollars to other countries, bringing up other countries, meanwhile cutting from us, taking from his own people and from his own country and giving it to other countries, allowing natives to live with poisonous water, allowing knives on airplanes, bringing in thousands of refugees whose background are the same background as our enemy, causing a Trojan horse, allowing ISIS to come back to Canada under a reintegration and rehabilitation program. Did Americans allow us? Did Americans do that to us? Did Americans say you must do this? Did Americans put a gun to our head and say you must do this? Did the Americans put a gun to the people of Alberta's head and tell them to vote for a socialist government, destroying a once great province which provided a lot of jobs, more jobs than the population could manage? Was it the Americans who held a gun to the people of Ontario's head and told them to vote for the Liberal government, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 different times, allowing Ontario, a once mighty province, which was the engine of Canada, to become almost a third-rate hellhole? Did the Americans do that? Did Trump do that? No, we did that to ourselves because we have this flu. We have this problem. We have a problem that we need to solve. And until we realize that we have a problem, we're never going to solve this problem. We can all sit here and say, "Oh, Michael, he's beating down on the Canadian. This man here who decided to move back to Canada, even though he has the qualifications to move and live in America. He could live in Florida. He could live in New Jersey. He could live in Texas. He could live in California. He could live in America, but he chose to come here and into his own country because he loves his country. He's beating down on Canadians. We could talk about Trump all day long, or we can realize we have a problem and fix the problem. And the thing is that Europe now, and many of these first world countries around the world, are beginning to suffer from what I call the Canadian flu. And Europe already has it big time. And the only medicine I can suggest is to vote for people like Nigel Farage and Marine Le Pen and the five-star movement in Italy, and those kind of populist parties and people who put their country first and who put their people first and who don't believe in globalism and who want to keep the country safe. That's the only antidote. As for us Canadians, we need to realize we have a problem and fix, because Canada used to be just like, almost like Europe. We used to have the fourth largest military. We used to be booming. We used to be really took off. And what happened is that we started electing people like this long-haired Matt Daddy and his father, Pierre the Cuckold Trudeau, and destroy this country piece by piece by piece. We have to fix it. So, you know, that's all I can say. This is the Arana Nation.